I think it's okay for people to dislike something and want to talk about it. Like, I think that's
Yeah.
fine. If you dislike a movie and you just want to talk about why you dislike a movie, that's okay. If I want to get on here and talk about why I think Thor: Love and Thunder should have been broken up into 3 movies, I think that's fine. That's fair. That's fair to have that conversation.
Yeah. I mean,
I
like,
think there's a difference between that and saying that gay people are indoctrinating children, which is what they were saying about something like Skeleton Crew, where we saw lesbian parents in one scene for 5 seconds, if that, and they said that that's Disney trying to indoctrinate children. There's a clear difference in the conversations that are being had there, right?
oh yeah.
So I would say that is a toxic hate community versus a community that just wants to talk about a movie or a TV show they don't like.
Well,
There's a
I
two
mean,
different things.
one is discussion and one is people trying to spin a very specific narrative.
Right, which is what I think the difference is here. When they're saying that there's a toxic discourse and the studios are treating it like market research, is they're not pushing back against the hate bait, which is that stuff. Let me give you guys 2 examples here, right? So we'll talk about specifically about the Acolyte, okay? If I say I don't like the Acolyte, I did like the Acolyte, but let's say if I put me in the position of somebody that doesn't like the show. If I were to say I don't like the Acolyte because I think the episodes were too uneven. I don't like the Acolyte because I wanted it to tie into the greater universe, and I don't think they did that. I don't like the Acolyte because some of the choices they made with cinematography. I don't like the Acolyte because I don't think the acting was very strong. I didn't like the script. I thought the story was a little bit strange. I didn't like the way the season ended. There's a lot of things you can dislike about a show and talk about it. If I say that, that's all valid. Those are all conversations we can have. You and I can go back and forth about any of those topics and try to figure out if there was a mistake they made, if there's something they could fix. Those are all, to me, fair conversations to have. Here's the kind of stuff that I do not agree with and I don't think adds any value to the conversation. I don't like the Acolyte because a black woman is the lead character. I don't like the Acolyte because there's a queer person in the show. I don't like Acolyte because I believe there was DEI in the film in the process of making the show. I don't like Acolyte because the woman in charge of the Acolyte says weird things that I don't like. Those are not constructive conversations to have about the show.
No.
Any of those things that I just said, there's no constructive dialogue to any of that. So the response to that would be, I don't like a black woman being the lead of the show. What's the solution to that? You don't want to see black people, right? So that's what I'm saying. There's no dialogue to be had there. There's a clear divide between conversations you can have about how bad something is and bigoted conversations. And I think that's an important distinction that people need to have when it comes to this.
People often try to hide their bigoted criticism as regular criticism, and their truth and what what they actually mean often shines through in their dialogue.
I'm going to give you guys a crash course on what that looks like. So say, for example, there's a content creator who puts up a bunch of thumbnails of black people doing stereotypical things, whether it be saying, some words that they think sound like a black person, or making their hair an afro, or showing them eating or drinking something that's stereotypically black, putting gold chains around their neck, things like that. Those are their thumbnails, and their titles are "We Was Jedis" or something along those lines, right? That's what they put up as their title and thumbnails. And then you click on the video and they're like, oh, it's narrative DEI and grooming, and all the people who make this content don't know what they're talking about. And this is the Disneyfication of blah, 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 et cetera, whatever. That kind of content, to me, does not make any sense.
No,
there's no hiding what that is.
It doesn't contribute anything either.
And only a stupid person or a dishonest person would look at that and go, yeah, this is normal behavior.
Yeah. Like, you would have to be kidding yourself if you thought that was okay.
So I think the issue with the Acolyte and Leslye here and Amandla and everybody involved with the show is they were dealing with 2 different types of disagreements. Again, you have the valid stuff that I spoke about earlier, where if I told you, Jake, I didn't like the fight scenes in the Acolyte, I think they were better in the original trilogy or something along those lines. We can then have dialogue about that. That's a conversation we can have, and everybody can jump into it. And even the people that made the Acolyte could learn something from that, because that is a peek into the minds of the fans that just want the shows to be better. people that have an issue with a black woman as the main character or a gay person in 5 seconds of a scene, there's no constructive value to that for anybody making the show. None.
No.
So anyway,